I knew the moment I crossed that line, there would be no way back. The building breathed differently after midnight, colder, honest, as if the walls were done pretending. I used his spare keycard because he used his spare lies. The elevator doors slid open with the hush of a kept secret. 13th floor, the one he never mentioned. I told myself I was only collecting facts. That was my first lie tonight. A hand stopped the doors. He stepped in. Dark suit, steady eyes, quiet like a closed book. I recognized him from charity photos. Gabriel, the problem solver my husband praised whenever applause was thin. The cable hummed. We rose. The mirror returned my face. 40 plus, a woman who no longer mistakes good behavior for safety. I smoothed my collar. Performance over. After hours, he said, as if naming it made it harmless. Before truth, I answered. The words left a taste like copper. He watched me as if I'd marked myself on a map he already knew. The car shuddered and stopped between floors. Lights dipped. The intercom crackled, then went silent, efficient failure. My phone lost its last bar. I waited for panic and found calculation instead. I don't crumble, I calibrate. We might be here a while, Gabriel said. I needed a pause, I replied. Now I have a captive one. I met his eyes. You know where he goes. You think this is about a person, he said, patient. It might be about a room. Rooms don't break vows, I said. Rooms hold them to the light, he countered. The steel walls reflected us from angles I barely recognized. I told him about the perfume in his jacket, the calendar gaps, the late meetings that never cast shadows. He listened without leaning in. Respectful distance. Dangerous steadiness. You came for proof, he said, and leverage. Both spend well, I said. He removed his watch and pocketed time. If I answer you, you'll owe yourself a decision. I prefer invoices to surprises, I said, and smiled because it steadied me. The lights steadied too. Somewhere above, gears considered mercy. I asked the question I had avoided. Is there someone? Yes, he said. Not the someone you think. My breath misstepped. The camera in the corner blinked red, an indifferent witness. Then what is this? A pattern, he said. He needs rooms that insist he is exceptional. Rooms where regular life can't follow. Does he cross lines? He finds lines and renames them. The intercom revived, maintenance on the way. 20 minutes. Time enough to choose my method. Time enough to admit why I was here. Not for scandal, for strategy. When this door opens, I said, you walk with me. That draws attention, he warned. Good, I said. I'm tired of keeping our life off camera. The car twitched upward, metal groaning like an old promise. I pictured the 13th floor, frosted glass, curated quiet, the place my marriage went when it wanted to feel rare. I also pictured myself walking through it without trembling. You're rewriting the ending, Gabriel said. Maybe just the terms, I answered. The bell chimed. The door sighed. Cold air slipped in, carrying a trace of lilies and something sharper, risk that smelled like polish. I stepped forward because I knew the cost of staying still. He matched my pace, and somewhere past the open threshold, a confession waited, with my name written on it. His voice alone was enough to ruin my carefully built life. Frosted glass, brass plaque, executive lounge. The door accepted my stolen card with a bored green blink. Inside, 2 leather chairs faced a night city that pretended to be simple. On the bar, an envelope with my name. Not darling, not honey, just me, printed like a title he planned to edit. I opened it. If you find this, we need terms, not apologies. Then a list. We are careful. We are bored. We are better than ordinary. He'd signed with a flourish that looked like victory. I felt something cleaner, clarity with a sharp edge. He's auditioning you, Gabriel said. He wants me to join his theater, I replied, sliding the letter into my coat. I prefer contracts. Footsteps neared in the corridor, my husband's cadence, wrapped in low laughter. I reached for the lock before panic could volunteer. The handle turned. The door held. I could have flung it open and performed outrage. Instead, I practiced power. We leave unseen, I whispered. No chase. Not tonight. Setting rules in the room he thought he owned, Gabriel said. Interesting. We slipped out through a side exit, moving past a camera that caught my lifted chin. In the elevator lobby, the city hummed like a kept secret. As the doors closed, our closeness deepened. Not heat, not rescue, something more precise, alignment. You want revenge, he said. I want balance, I answered. Revenge fades. Balance holds. And your method? Change the economy, I said. Withdraw my applause. We walked to a 24-hour cafe where light was unforgiving and coffee honest. I set the letter between us like evidence. Map the edges, I said. No gossip. He traced patterns with words measured as blueprints. Private rooms that didn't require infidelity to compromise a marriage, curated applause. Late nights that performed risk while avoiding consequence. He didn't push conclusions. He handed me tools. Does he love you? Gabriel asked at last. He loves the version of me that doesn't ask for receipts, I said. That version is retired. My phone buzzed, working late. Don't wait up. I replied, after hours suits me. It felt less like defiance than a thesis. I drafted rule number 1 in the Notes app. No rooms that require either of us to perform a stranger. Rule number 2. Transparency for nights, labeled discretion. Rule number 3. Quarterly truth checks. No therapy words, only clear ones. I watched the rules appear on the screen and realized I was not salvaging a marriage. I was replacing the foundation. Call me if you want a witness, Gabriel said, sliding a number. I don't do chaos. I do plans. I don't do rescue, I said. Good, he answered. We'd be poor at it together. Outside, a pale line of dawn pride at the skyline. I stood to leave. The cafe door chimed. An early commuter walked in with ordinary hope. Ordinary, the word that scared my husband more than losing me. On the sidewalk, the city smelled like rain deciding. I thought I owned the next scene, until a reflection in a shop window shifted and my husband's shadow passed behind mine without stopping. He never looked in. He didn't have to. I was already writing the terms he would be forced to read. The secret I carried could destroy us both, but I couldn't stop. By morning, the plan had edges. Not fireworks, architecture. I left his letter on our nightstand with a pen and a single word beneath it. Counteroffer? He negotiates better than he apologizes. I spoke his language and changed the grammar. At noon, I booked a small glass-walled room in his office. I invited one witness, the assistant who managed his calendar like a heartbeat. We agreed on boundaries, timestamps, not drama. I needed patterns, not villains. Leverage works best when it is quiet. At 4, I sent a meeting invite titled after hours, terms. Location, the lounge he curated for rarity. I arrived first, placed 2 chairs toward the window, and set a metronome between them. Time isn't a threat until you can hear it. He entered on the dot, handsome in the way that collects free passes. What is this? An audit, I said. of meaning. I read my terms. Transparency for nights that claim discretion. No rooms that require either of us to be stripped of defenses. Quarterly truth checks, records, not performances. If he wanted exception, it would be scheduled and named. If he wanted applause, he could earn it the long way. He laughed, then noticed I didn't. "You'll leave if I refuse?" "I'll stop clapping," I said. "And without applause, your stage empties fast." The metronome ticked. He practiced charm. It slid off. He tried indignation. It bored me. He studied the window, afraid of the ordinary view. When he turned back, something in his posture had conceded. "Who helped you?" he asked. "My spine," I said. He didn't deserve more. He locked the door, not for spectacle, for focus, and removed his watch, then his cufflinks, laying them beside the metronome like offerings to time. Our closeness deepened into attention. No heat, no game. Just two adults measuring breath. "What if I fail?" he asked. "Then you tell me before the habit does," I said. "We decide together if the stage belongs in our house or on a curb." He signed. His name looked unfamiliar without performance, leaning on it. We left separately. In the lobby, Gabriel waited, not interference, acknowledgement. I nodded. He answered with a slight tilt of respect. Some alliances don't need language. Outside, the city unfolded its early evening. A message pinged from my husband. "Dinner?" "No stages." I replied, "After hours suits me." Then I archived our old thread and started a new one. Clean ledger. At home, I set the metronome on the counter and let it keep time while I cooked. He arrived quiet. We spoke with care that wasn't fragile. Our closeness deepened in steady, deliberate ways. No spectacle. No theater. Practice. Later, alone on the balcony, I let the skyline test my resolve. I thought revenge would taste sweeter. Instead, leverage tasted like breath I didn't have to hold. The secret I carried was simple. I had finally chosen myself without waiting for permission. The metronome ticked through the open door, patient. If it faltered, I knew how to start it again. And if one day I chose silence, it would be on terms I wrote first.